Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we are on the website of Gardiner Houlgate Auctioneers based in the UK. We're going to do something a little bit different today. We're looking at a completed auction catalogue now. So on the 18th of June, there was the musical instruments auction. It was the tail end of the group of 3 auctions, the first 2 being about guitars. And due to kind of like being very busy, didn't really have time to look at this auction before it finished, but it is equally quite interesting to look at a finished auction and see the prices. Luckily, Gardiner Houlgate kind of keep the prices up for at least for a bit of time, so we can have a look at what happened. Also joined by Max. Hello, Max.
Hello.
And we'll get Max's insight on a few things. It's quite a diverse auction. 459 lots. There are some interesting bowed strings, a few other kind of interesting stuff. So without further ado, we'll just crack on and we'll probably just blitz through this quite quickly and just see what we can find. So yeah, let us begin. An Appalachian dulcimer went for £50. A Stossel lute didn't sell. They say rare, but to be honest, those come up quite a lot. And if it was that rare, then I think it probably would have sold for £120. So not that interesting. Neapolitan style split table mandolin. Once again, I would argue that that is not particularly rare. And if it was, then it also would have sold, and it didn't. A Theorbo lute guitar went for £90. I'm really not a fan of those type of instruments. 2 old lute guitars once again went for £95, not particularly interesting. Wizard of New York 1920s plectrum chevron banded banjo went for £80. Unusual tenor guitar mandolin harp, that is a bit curious, went for 120. Temlet 5-string zither banjo from 1900 went for 75. Earliest 20th century 5-string banjo went for 55. Monarch 5-string open back banjo 1900 went for £60. 5-string banjo by Kettle of Wigton went for £90. Another 20th century Theorbo harp guitar, Swedish style, went for £130. Some people like those kind of things. I'm not convinced myself. Interesting open back fretless banjo went. Oh no, that didn't even sell. 8-string harp lute without table, labeled Aldrich Richter. Interesting, that didn't sell. That could have been kind of interesting, I suppose. Old Baroque lute in need of restoration went for £50. 1920s nickel plated open back ukulele banjo went for £50. Good 5-string zither type banjo from 1900 went for 110. Early 20th century Viceroy 2-row concertina went for £50. Mid 20th century ukulele banjo went for 60. Keach banjolele, what George Formby used to use, went for £55. Ukulele banjo with detachable metal resonator went for 45. Tanglewood ukulele went for £45. That seems quite a lot for a Tanglewood ukulele. A load of printed scores went for £30. This kind of great composers thing didn't sell, unsurprisingly. Gibson TB4 trapdoor tenor banjo didn't sell. That's interesting. Rosewood cabinet piano by George Peachy of London with cylinder keyboard went for 480. That's a slightly bit more different. Have a quick look at the some of the pictures. Feel free to stop me, Max, if there's anything interesting that you see. Rare and important pair of Parsons Super Ideal copper pedal tuned timpani drums went for £320. Obviously not that rare or important. Pair of Premier hand tuned copper timpani drums went for 80. Metal flutes and some harmonicas and other stuff went for 75. Pilgrim by JHS ukulele banjo went for 80. Barnes and Mullins ukulele banjo went for 90. 1970s famous 5-string banjo went for 130. 2012 Gretsch broadcaster went for 200. Tanglewood Union series went for 80 banjo. Pilgrim JHS 5-string banjo went for 65. A whole load of ukuleles went for £75. Another lot went for 70. A whole load of random stuff went for £40. Stands and other bits of instruments and stuff. Oh, a set of Northumbrian small pipes by John Dunn went for £1,650. So that was popular. A set of uilleann pipes by Dennis Crowley of Cork, where it went for £4,000. So that was a popular lot. Not many pictures there, but I think the Northumbrian and the uilleann pipes are fairly rare, but have popular in some folk scenes. Contemporary stag xylophone on folding stand didn't sell. Shame. A contemporary Chinese erhu folk fiddle with snakeskin membrane and dragon finial went for £35. Actually looks like a bit more interesting than a lot of them, you see. Curious.
Some nice decorations there.
Yeah, that's actually a lot better than the normal ones we see at auction. Yeah. Curious. Well, I think to be fair, £35 is not too bad for that, I would argue. I don't know what the professional ones cost in China, but looks nice enough. A rare sea wheatstone crane system concertina with 51 buttons went for £1,600. It is interesting. The market for fine concertinas is extremely good, and they go for very good money consistently, which is interesting. I don't know who collects them, but there are people that like them. Square piano by Frederick Beck, London, 1776, went for £1,350. That's quite a good price. Oh, a good Gibson style A mandolin with Kalamazoo label there, went for £1,000. You could have a quick look. Are there any more pictures? No, they don't want to show pictures of that one. Here's a whole load of guitar and cello stands. Oh, a musical saw. C. Feldman went for £150. That seems quite a lot. Oh, wow, that's amazing. A John Broadwood and Sons mahogany square piano went for £90. That is actually quite mad.
I'm almost certain the shipping cost will be more than
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and then the tuning as well.
Yeah.
But that is still quite ridiculous because, you know, like Broadwood pianos are like internationally recognized name. You can't go into a stately home in the UK without seeing a Broadwood square piano. So that's just a crazy price there, £90. But I mean, who knows?
I just thought like square pianos probably they don't have as much of a performance value anymore. More
True.
like furniture.
Yeah, true. But then you've got here a square piano by Jacob Ball, went for 1,250. I mean, arguably that one's probably a lot earlier and potentially a rarer maker, but it's just interesting to see. £90 just seems absolutely crazy.
There may be condition issues.
Yeah, potentially as well. Yeah. Mahogany dulcitone, stamped Thomas Mackle and Sons, went for 260. Oh, Paul Chalkin, pair of 1930s Premier maracas, went for £30. Quite interesting. Paul Chulkin, percussion stuff, went for 40. Paul Chulkin again, triangles, went for 150. Paul, I wonder if this is this a maker or is this the owner of the stuff? Not sure, but once again, a whole load of percussion kind of stuff. Paul Chulkin, again, a kind of anvil bar and some other kind of stuff went for 35. It's always an interesting auction, this Gardiner Houlgate one. Paul Chulkin, Ludwig concert castanets with 3 pairs of handled castanets. And this must be like someone's collection or something. Latin percussion bars and other stuff, 55. Reso block scrapers. This reminds me of like being in school because we used to have this box full of like in primary school or secondary school full of these random kind of things. This is interesting. Anklong bamboo chime complete with assembly instructions went for £40. That actually looks quite cool. That'd be quite nice to have just like as a piece on a table like in your room. Modern art, that is. Quite like that. 7 pairs of various crotale finger bells, sleigh bells there, 4 Burma bronze bells. Here's a few symbol-y things, some more symbols there of Wuhan Cheng symbols there. I actually don't know who Paul Chalklin is or was. I feel a bit bad, but I'll look it up afterwards. Tambourine there, German tambourine, went for
It sounds like some sort of percussion manufacturer. I just don't know like exactly how desirable are these like older percussion instruments.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I mean, there's a lot of different items here that are clearly look like they're by different makers. So I presume that this person was maybe a percussionist or something, a famous percussionist. Maybe I should have a look at it quickly and kind of see who this is. I'm not sure, but that's quite a lot. £130 for a tambourine. That's quite a lot. And then a beryllium copper tambourine there went for £60. And a Grover phosphor bronze tambourine went for 115. Wow, there looks like there's a whole world of like tambourines that I just didn't know about at all. This is a revelation to me. Yeah, I'm just. Oh no, don't know. It does actually. I've looked it up quickly. It looks like that is a company, Paul Chalklin. So yeah, well, a new one on me. Yeah, I'm a bit confused now.
Oh,
Another, yeah, I don't know, or unless it was like a person that had a thing and this is their personal collection. Oh well. Tambourine 75, bronze bell plate 85 there. Yeah, it must be that person's collection because you got Boozy and Hawk's Bobby Salmon's cymbal pedal went for £50. So this must also be like a specific person that must be like a percussionist or something like that. So yeah, interesting.
yeah, because I know Boozy and Hawks is definitely a brand. I've heard of them.
Yeah, I think it must be the actual person himself because I've can find some information saying that he's a teacher and an orchestral session musician and technician. So, but also must have had his own business. So, I'd have to look it up a bit more. But clearly, this is like a well-known percussionist. So we probably just offended loads of percussionists by not knowing who this person is. But say la vie, it's all a learning experience, as they say. Four old percussion trap tables with stands, 75. Copper timbale drums, 85. Nice. Some more timbale drums, 85. Paste China cymbal 85, crash cymbal 120, medium cymbal from paste, medium cymbal, another kind of cymbal, Swiss China style cymbal, crash thin cymbal, UFIP, crash cymbal. I do know a little bit about drums actually, but I don't know if we're going to go into cymbals, but UFIP are based in Italy. They're quite like a high-end kind of cymbal maker. Heavy band cymbals there. HH Sabian cymbal, 18-inch. China type cymbal. Another Sabian 16, 716. All selling though, they're all decent cymbals. Zildjian cymbal there. Another Zildjian one. Another Zildjian. Paste formula ones, but more Zildjian cymbals. Another Zildjian, so not cymbals. Another Zildjian, more Zildjian there. You can see what they went for. Zildjian, this is an interesting one. 36-inch Wuhan bronze Sun Gong Tam Tam went for £620. That is actually cool looking. That's pretty epic. I do like that.
Priced, but
Say that again.
seems a little overpriced. I've seen a few of these. I'm pretty sure you can get it for cheaper. Unless it's some sort of really good one.
Well, I don't know, but yeah, I have no idea. It looks cool though. Look cool for the wall. Another Zildjian genuine Turkish crash cymbal, splash cymbal there, all kind of selling, all for good money. Gong and bass drum there, all the Paul Chalkin stuff as well, £70 again. Olympic cymbal stands there. Wuhan wind gong. Here is a 3-octave marimba there, £440. A 4-octave xylophone went for £460. 2.5-octave case glockenspiel went for £500. Chromatic brass tubular bells went for £1,300. Tenor drum there by Premier went for 95. Premier snare drum there went for 110. This is quite nice. Sound Creation 3 gong. 1980s went for 340. 1920s Chinese symbol with maker's name in black ink and drilled for rivets went for £20. It's quite cool looking there. Quite like that. Interesting. Set of 4 Korean temple blocks, 85. Set of 4 Korean temple blocks again. Another set of temple blocks. JH&S banjo ukulele. Tone with 6-string guitar banjo went for 50. Kaiser Suzuki model 80S bowlback mandolin went for 100. Viennese College of Music lyre-shaped mandolin case went for 130. Page 2 already. We are blitzing through. Adjustable music stand there. What, £680? So it is Regency furniture. Would you pay that much, Max, for a music stand?
Well, if it fits the interior, I guess. I wouldn't use it as a music stand.
Yeah. If you had a very fancy old-fashioned style house, maybe, but yeah. Bit much for me. Here's some accordions, went for £30.
Someone must really want a vintage music stand.
Oh yeah, definitely. Or maybe they are just that valuable. I mean, I'm a bit out of the loop of that.
Oh, you see rosewood. That's like you can't even export it.
Yeah.
It's some good wood, I would assume.
Here's a lot of like random things for children: Spanish guitar, mandolin, balalaika, etc. Went for 45. Neapolitan mandolin did not sell because it's pretty standard. Rare 10-string Neapolitan mandolin didn't sell, unsurprisingly, because it's once again pretty normal. I wouldn't say it's rare, to be honest, so I think that's wrong. Old decorative carved and inlaid banjo didn't sell. Actually, let's have a look at the inlay on that just quickly. Interesting. Not the most advanced work, but curious nevertheless. Contemporary Ashbury ukulele went for 65. That seems quite a lot. Sevian B820 ride cymbal. Neapolitan mandolin went for £25. Yeah. Another Neapolitan mandolin didn't sell. Good Wheatstone duet concertina went for 800. So that's to any of you budding kind of antiques experts or interested in wheeler dealing. If you happen to find a concertina that looks kind of old in a junk shop or anything, or in a car boot sale, then pick it up if it's cheap enough, because it could be money in that. Another dulcitone here sold for 280. Contemporary clavichord by Robert Morley and Co. went for £260. Once again, if you really want to play like a clavichord, that's a pretty ridiculously cheap price. Percussion bongos there for £20. Electronic drum kit went for 100.
A deal for an whole electronic drum kit.
Yeah, it's not too bad, to be honest. Yeah, I think that's all right. A filed mandola made in England. Filed were like very good make actually of like acoustic guitars, mandolins and stuff. So 480 seems pretty good. It was probably fairly expensive at the time. 1945 Levin Aristocrat mandolin. There's well-known Swedish maker there. Went for 520. Sounds about right. Michael Kelly left-handed mandolin made in Korea. Yeah, didn't sell. Square piano by Broadwood. This one sold for £420. That's London 1803. Some wind instruments. Box of flute and stamped baits. London went for 700. So that was obviously popular. Box of flute by and stamped arm mold. London went for 140. Contemporary Leicestershire small pipe by J. Goodisser in key of D went for 400. So it's a lot of woodwind people following this auction. Mid-20th century bass trombone didn't sell. Earliest 20th century silver-plated baritone saxophone, stamped Paul Caver, went for 110. 3 various trumpets by Yamaha, went for 75. Boxwood flute with 7 silver plug keys and wooden blocks, went for 240. 5 various musical instruments, bombard, shamel, bagpipe chanter, zaffoon, pocket sax, bamboo instrument, went for 45. Small wooden flute, went for 45. Blessing & Co. Saxophone, went for 440. Okay, interesting. Pair of cavalry trumpets by and stamped Cousineau Paris, went for £130. They're quite nice actually, with their fancy tassels. Cavalry trumpet by Lecomte and C Paris, went for 100. Bass trombone by and inscribed Hawks and Son, did not sell. Helicon brass tubing, 3 Pyrenees valves with mouthpiece, did not sell. Another Helicon did not sell, so people don't like Helicons. Baritone horn by the brothers Schamal, Prague, did not sell. Tenor trombone by an inscribed Besson, did not sell. Tenor trombone by an inscribed Hawks and Son, did not sell. Brass is not doing well in this auction. Tenor trombone by and stamped the Salvationist Publishing and Supplies Limited, did not sell. Soprano trombone did not sell. Baritone horn did not sell. Wow, that is pretty crazy. 9-keyed Ophilicli, I can't even bloody pronounce that, by Pierre Legoupe, did not sell. Bass valve trombone by stamped Miro Zavanil, sold for £220. I think that brass instruments changed quite a lot recently from like the early 20th century to what's like useful for modern standards. So I think that's the reason why sometimes a lot of those things don't sell.
I mean, also from what I heard, wind instrument, brass or wind in general, they kind of deteriorate over time. So
yeah,
even all the big orchestras, they actually tend to play newer instruments.
yeah, like I say, I think it can be a difficult sell on that. Gold-plated cornet mouthpiece went for 15. 3 quadro trombones went for 45. 8 various student quality cornets went for 70. 3 gold lacquered Jupiter baritone horns went for 40. 2 Jupiter gold lacquered baritone horns went for 55. More tubas went for 420. Good Yamaha tuba went for 750. Another tuba went for 750. 2 silver-plated Besson tubas went for 150. Yamaha tuba went for 800. Vinyl gold lacquer tuba went for £70. Amati Craslis euphonium did not sell. Stag E flat horn did not sell. Besson trumpet did not sell. Alpine alto saxophone did not sell. Stag saxophone did not sell. Stag gold lacquer. Was that?
Some consignor must be really disappointed.
Yeah, especially if you're selling brass stuff, it's not good. And some of the prices were okay, but some are not that great.
This one went for $150.
Yeah, that's all right. At least this Stag alto saxophone sold. John Packer silver-plated tenor horn, and some other kind of bits. Cornet went for 60. Bentley gold lacquer trombone did not sell. Contemporary Sebastian Buckley Aqua Sulis stamped clarinet, some gear for music stuff, went for 40. Buffet crampon clarinet went for 140. Contemporary Levante clarinet went for 70. Another Buffet crampon clarinet went for 140. 2 Armstrong silver-plated flutes went for 60. Also a violin bow case. That's a bit of a random lot, but fair enough. Stag silver-plated flute with curved head joint, 120. Sarum open whole silver-plated flute, and another flute went for 100. Whole load of flutes went for £90. 19th century English boxwood and ivory mounted 4-keyed flute by and stamped Clemente, London, went for 400. Whole load of clarinet stuff there did not sell. Clarinet stuff, clarinets went for £50 there. 1 flute with a whole load of empty flute cases went for 50. Trafford tenor saxophone did not sell. Pennsylvania special gold lacquered alto saxophone did not sell. Lewis standard oboe, £30. Another oboe by Schreiber, did not sell. Sebastian Buckley, silver-plated flute, and another flute, £40. Books on musical subjects, did not sell. Whole load of saxophone mouthpieces went for £35. Mouthpieces for euphoniums, cornets, etc., went for 45. 6 Hohner harmonicas and Oriental reed flute went for 45. Random lyres for brass instruments went for 40. A book about kind of Irish music and some other stuff went for 140 quid. So one of those books must have been pretty rare. Oh, now we're into kind of some interesting things, some not. So a late 19th, so early 20th century German violin was £100. I think that's pretty standard fare. 19th century German violin went for £90, pretty normal. This one might be a bit more interesting to look at here. We only got the front and back, so it's a 19th century violin with good two-piece maple back. Went for 150, which I think is fairly reasonable. Feel free to step in, Max, if you want to comment.
Navigate to the beginning of violins.
Okay.
Yeah. Which page are we on?
I'm on lot 2004, which is probably at the beginning of page 4 or so.
We really just sprint through half of the auction.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's the benefit that there's final prices as well, kind of means we can just kind of flick through. But this is probably the first of the kind of interesting ones. This kind of interesting late 18th, early 19th century violin labeled Stenhan Thier, painted purfling. It went for 180 pounds, which I think is not too bad. Obviously needs a bit of work, but interesting enough.
I can't quite see the pictures clearly. I am quite suspicious why they would think some of these instruments are 18th century, because I wouldn't be surprised if this one's much later.
Yeah, it's hard to say because they're not giving us the pictures that we really want to see from the side, or to look at, you know, I'd want to see the neck position or the kind of side of the scroll. So yeah, unfortunately, sometimes Gardiner Houlgate just not good on the picture game, really. Moving on, we don't need that. It says practice skeleton violin went for 70, fine. These horrible Stroh went for 90. You see people trying to sell these for like crazy money on eBay. Like they're absolutely horrible.
I don't know what they sound like though. Like you're literally playing out of it.
Yeah, they're not very nice. You can hear what they sound like on YouTube. It's just, yeah, it's not good. Here's one of those Regat Rubus kind of pretending to be Russian violins, but made in Germany, 2 to 300. They haven't even bothered with other pictures here, but they've got the rounded edges. I think people know what they look like. They can sound okay though, but you know, nothing good. Didn't sell, unsurprisingly, because they are pretty much junk. Early 19th to 20th century German half-size violin went for £35. To be honest, that's an interesting enough kind of violin, and it only went for 35. It's not too bad.
It doesn't even have purflings. It's a pretty, you know,
I think it's quirky.
Yeah, it's like pretty crappy, I guess.
It's crappy, but it's got quirky charm.
Yeah.
Here's a whole load of violins, all junk, really. £40. I'm just getting quite harsh now with things, aren't I? I mean, like this harsh, man. I'm just like, it's junk. I think I've got to stop sugarcoating stuff. If it's junk, it's junk. A good German half-size violin from 1920. Yeah, it looks okay, actually. Not too bad. It's pretty good for a half-size, isn't it? £65. I think that was pretty fair. Obviously, you have to add the buyer's premium on top, which I think is something like 26.5% or some ridiculous thing. Why are they putting like a 0.5% on? Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that's another rant for another time. French violin labeled Nicholas Bertolini, £110. It's pretty.
Hey, wait a minute. You see further image available here, so they did have further pictures for some of these.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably due to demand, like customer.
Right. That's interesting that they've uploaded them to Google Drive.
Yeah.
That's a bit. That's just a bit weird. That's a bit. I'm not sure about that. I would feel like a bit dubious about having to like log on to someone's Google Drive to see the additional pictures.
Well, it is a pretty efficient way to share files if you really need to, because I feel like they just don't want to go through the trouble of uploading more pictures to their auction system.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Bertho Bellini, it's looking at the picture, is pretty screwed because it's gonna need some work on the neck.
Yeah, I think this is not too an exciting instrument really. It's pretty low tier. Here's a nice case, walnut case, went for 70. It's not too bad. Whole load of 3/4 violins and some other kind of stuff went for £100.
The one on the left looks okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
It's like a French violin or something.
Yeah. So a whole load of 3/4 there. I mean, £100. It's not too bad, but it's a little getting towards a higher side of things. German violin, 2 German violins went for 80. It's not unreasonable, I suppose. Nothing too exciting there. A couple more 3/4. Early 20th century 3/4 size violin labeled supplied by W. Thompson. So yeah, £70. It's not unreasonable. Contemporary violin and another contemporary violin went for 70. Once again, don't look too bad, but it's hard to say because there's not more pictures. So,
well, I guess for contemporaries, it's just pretty standard. They're all pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah.
French violin, we're labeled copy of Stradivari, went for 130.
Bunch of these on Napoleon. No,
Yeah.
from life.
Yeah, I think we've seen enough of these for a lifetime. Late 19th century German violin, labeled Honus Amati. Yeah, this is kind of that standard kind of screwdriver antiquing 19th century violin that we're kind of used to. Went for 220. Well, I don't know. I guess you could probably get that back up and running and sell it for a bit more, but I'm not sure. It's not sure.
If you're a shop, I guess $200 isn't too bad. Right?
Yeah.
You're gonna rip student off for like 5,000 these anyways.
Yeah, it's not something that I would purchase, to be honest. Here's one of those kind of fretted violin zivers that you get. Went for 140. Well, they're not very exciting. Some people obviously like them. Here's another 20th century violin. Back is in need of regluing to the body. Went for 160. So it seems a bit much.
This one's not bad. I mean, in terms of how it's made, I guess this one's pretty good.
Oh, someone liked it. Here's a German violin, circa 1910, with a Joseph Klotz mark. Went for £240. It's pretty standard trade violin.
I feel like that's a little too much.
Yeah, that's kind of top end of that. Here's a 20th century Maggini copy. 140 isn't too bad, I guess, for it. Looks in okay condition. The F holes are a bit large, but
I feel like I can just buy some of those Eton music violin and do some work on the varnish and put it for sale here for $200 each.
Yeah, exactly. Here's another 20th century German violin, pretty standard, went for 95. Can't really argue with that. 95 is fair price. Now this violin I was actually interested in buying myself because I thought this was really curious. The estimate was 150 to 250 pounds and it ended up going for 620. It obviously has some interesting F holes and the arching's a bit curious, but this the purfling that it has, that kind of like guitar maker's purfling, I just thought that this was a very interesting instrument and I quite like the back of it. I thought this was quite nice.
Has some interesting locator pins. Like those are some big pins.
Yeah, it's curious. I just like the overall kind of vibe of it. I quite liked it, but I wouldn't I didn't, as soon as I saw the bidding go over like £250, I was like, I'm just not interested, to be honest, because there's other things that I'd rather spend my money on. But I think it's an interesting violin. I don't think that 620 is unreasonable. I just don't think that I would personally want to pay that much for it.
I mean, the F holes are a bit whack, but the varnish almost has an Italian vibe to it.
Yeah, it looks like a nice instrument. I just think possibly not worth quite that amount. Here's a violin label.
Could be some guitar maker that made that instrument.
It's entirely possible because you do sometimes get things like that. Yeah, I definitely think it has some kind of age to it and probably English or so. So, here's a violin labeled Maziano Bucci. Went for 130. Looks pretty standard kind of German trade instrument there. Interesting early 20th century violin of the Deresi school. Went for 280.
Interesting. This one, okay, sound post and bass bar cracks on the table.
Yeah, it's got some bad cracks.
I'd say this one could potentially worth a little more.
Yeah, needs a bit of work, but yeah, it's not the worst price. So it's,
I mean, easily in the thousands if it's properly fixed.
That's true, yeah. Here's a German violin labeled Armati, went for 300. I guess it's in kind of decent-ish condition. Well, ish. It's a bit more than I would pay for it, but fair enough. Mid 20th century French viola with a Strad label, went for 240. Doesn't look particularly high quality. Contemporary left-handed violin outfit. Interesting. Went for £35, unsurprisingly. We're a bit lower tier there. Another 3/4 violin went for 60. Looks okay. Looks decent enough. Contemporary Guarneri violin went for £160. And this was actually not too bad looking, I suppose.
Looks pretty nice. Except for the corner works are a little
stubby.
Yeah.
It's an interesting shape. I'm not totally against it, actually.
I've seen contemporary makers making corners like this. I just find them ugly, and a lot of these makers are beginners, I would say.
Yeah.
And the curving is not necessarily bad. It looks okay. It's pretty straight, but and the corner works, but if they're making a Dairezu copy, then I guess that kind of perfect corner does make sense. Just overall, it's kind of whack looking.
Yeah, it's a bit mad, but 160, I think that's kind of okay. This one looks like it's come out of the same workshop. A Strad one, once again, looking a little bit bizarre. 120, but I mean, might be okay instruments. I don't know, but same kind of varnish, not that great.
Check this out. This is actually more of a Dairezu model than
yeah, it's a bit.
I don't know why they would think it's a Strad model.
Unless it says that on the label, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. It's like maybe Strad model with Dairezu F holes. Well, the form doesn't even look like a Strad.
No.
It's like something. I don't even know.
Yeah, definitely quirky for sure. This one straight same workshop again.
Oh yeah, but this one is much better.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah, this one went for 240. So yeah.
That's a big button right there. Like.
Yeah.
The neck must feel kind of weird down there.
Yeah, that is a bit strange.
I mean, if I'm a luthier, I will like go in there and shave off some more wood because some of these details are just weird.
Here's another contemporary Strad model violin that went for 160. Nothing too exciting there.
I like this one there compared to the past three. This one looks more of a standard.
Yeah, that's true. A whole load of contemporary instruments of all sizes there went for 50.
I've literally seen people paying like 5,000. Okay, in pounds, probably £3,000 for an instrument like this from a shop. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. That's pretty mad.
Yeah.
Here's a load of cases, went for £65. Various fittings went for 160. It's pretty random.
I will buy these. Really, they look nice. Actually, I can't see anything, but I'm sure it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who knows what it is, but yeah, it's a lucky bag. Same random stuff. Strings, some decent strings in there. I'm not surprised that went for 240 actually, because it looks like that was probably okay. Bit of a gamble though. I
Yeah.
guess you Gardiner Houlgate, you can see it in person. Here's
Yeah.
a whole load of spool clamps and stuff like that. When I was studying, we had to make these ourselves for guitar making. So I've got a whole box full of them somewhere. That was a fun experience. Violin parts in need of restoration went for 150. I like the crackulature on that one. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That looks like it could be a Czech violin, the full one on the left.
Yeah. The one on the left looks interesting.
The interesting thing about this is that you could buy these for £150 and you could actually just put them individually. You could put that one on eBay for 150 quid on its own, and the other ones for like 30 or 40 pounds on eBay, and it would sell.
The other one's going straight to the trash.
So I think you could still sell them on eBay for what they are for a little bit anyway. So I think there's some money to be made in that.
Right, really is kind of unsettling. I mean, I see why it's interesting to you, but man, that's
Yeah. This is actually quite an interesting lot. I didn't really look at this before. A whole load of violin scrolls went for £280. Some of these look kind of interesting, actually.
I feel like that's how the Landolfi scroll from the Ingalls Heyday auction came out.
Yeah.
I was at scroll and they're like, wait a minute, that looks like a Landolfi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's actually an interesting scroll on eBay at the moment that claims to be Italian, but it is actually an interesting looking scroll. So it is a bit curious. Yeah, I have to share that with you at some stage. I was joking with a friend of mine that I'd love to set up a shop in London that all it does is sell violin scrolls, like various violin scrolls. I think that could be quite funny.
Make that your personal art project.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You have these like display stand for them or like frame them.
Yeah, exactly.
Scrolls, yeah.
But some of these do actually genuinely look quite interesting. So I
think most of them look pretty standard, like 20th century German. The one in the middle, the one.
Well, this one.
Yeah, this one looks some sort of. It looks a little older, but tiny eyes. They're. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't know, but these are cut down as if they're replacing the neck, but they never put a scroll back. I wonder what would cost this? Like the one in the middle, it even has an unfinished neck, and I don't think that's grafted on.
Yeah.
It's maybe some sort of luthier's practice or something.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's completely possible. Yeah. I think it's interesting.
It even has peg holes drilled out, but then they filled it back up.
Yeah, maybe like you say, it's just a test kind of one, test the varnish and stuff like that.
Yeah. Why'd you pay $280 for this? You can buy it for fun, but someone must have really competed with another person for a box of scrolls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Some more stuff went for £75. Random stuff.
I will buy this just for that chin rest.
Oh, well, that one on top. Yeah.
But I do know my fitting supplier does make chin rests like this. Of course, it will cost way less than. Actually, no, it will cost way less than this, but yeah. But I would think that's made of some pretty good like actual boxwood. Because they couldn't find these kind of boxwood anymore. Like my fitting supplier would actually use some sort of a substitute boxwood for that effect.
Yeah. Curious. Some more cases went for 180 quid. Very good. 19th century violin labeled Colin Mazin, and another violin labeled Arthur James Bournemouth in a double violin case went for £400, but not any good pictures. So
Doesn't look like a real Colimazan to me,
Yeah.
but I will buy it like $400. I mean, the case itself will worth maybe $50. Like, that's a
Yeah,
nice.
that's actually not too bad a deal, actually, 400. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of okay. Yeah, I think that's a bit of a gamble, but potentially okay. German violin.
Cracks in the back.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, it could be real terrible there, but I'm sure that you could probably argue with them if that did turn out to be the case. German violin, labeled Hubert Nilling, 140, pretty standard, nothing to really talk about there. Mid 20th century Bohemian viola went for 140. Once again, pretty standard trade. Load of 3/4 violins, JHL, etc., went for 150, standard kind of stuff. 20th century French violin, table soundpost crack there went for 150. Doesn't look too bad actually, other than that soundpost crack, but lot 2048. Any thoughts on that one, or carry on?
Yeah, it does have a table sound post crack.
Yeah.
It's a pretty standard French violin. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's made by any known names. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't even list them, but yeah, looks nice. But the
Okay.
sound was cracked, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. Here's another kind of 20th century Strad copy violin, pretty standard, went for 180. Still think that's a bit high. Nice case, went for 55.
Like, some of these cases are just weird cases. Like, this one is actually probably pretty light because I had a wooden case this size. It felt really nice.
Mm,
But when you get to those like the M.A. George case I was talking about the other day, those are insanely heavy. I just don't know why. Like sometimes you actually have lighter wood, sometimes they're much heavier. But this one
mm,
looks nice. It even has this like these like suspensions where the back
yeah,
of the part is not completely touching the case. But I wouldn't carry a case like this on the street. Just like personal preference. I don't like old cases.
yeah. No, that's fair enough. And a few more kind of purple cases. Someone obviously with the faux crocodile skin. Someone obviously loved purple. Some other various kind of cases there, £85. Ooh, random 6 old violins, also 2 violins in need of restoration, went for £90. I mean, you can't really argue with that, although some of them look a bit curious. So this one looks okay on the top right hand corner. It kind of looks like it could be interesting. Load of bows as well. I mean, I think that's kind of okay. If you can collect it from the auction house, then there's probably some money to be made in it. So earliest 20th century decorative violin. These are horrible, I think, in my opinion. 180. Not a massive fan of those. 2 German 3/4 violins went for 320. I guess a bit better quality as the 3/4 go. Still a market for 3/4 violins. Yeah, not too bad. French Medifino child's violin and some other stuff went for 90. That's kind of all right. The Medifino one's probably okay for a kid. This is interesting. Interesting 19th century violin in need of restoration went for £220. I think that is actually quite curious. I just wish that like they did at least one side view. I think this is my issue with this auction house.
It's funny about this one has a sound post crack in both the back and table.
Mm,
Um, these instruments, even with the back crack, I've seen these instruments go for much higher on Brompton.
yeah,
I still have a different view on the crack.
yeah. I like the way they say viewing's always advised, so they know that someone's going to buy that and kind of not realize and then complain, basically. Here's an old viola case. Didn't sell. Not too surprised there. Contemporary violin, labeled Hiddesign Vivente, went for 55. I think that's okay, actually. I mean, we know it's a modern student violin, but 55 is not too bad. It's okay. What I've seen so far in this auction is that there aren't, usually Gardiner Houlgate has like about 20 contemporary Italian labeled violins, which have all come from the same person, same consigner, but actually they haven't appeared in this auction as far as I'm aware. So these are interesting. Good oak oblong double violin cases, Hill and Sons. It's quite curious, 320. Shame they don't have more pictures though. That's curious. Load more cases, went for 130. Here's a 20th century Maggini copy with a bow, 320 went for. Still think that's a little bit high, but I mean, it looks fairly well made. And who needs a fingerboard anyway? French violin labeled Fait sous la direction de Léon Bernardel. Went for 440. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure about that. Any thoughts on this, my French expert?
Pretty standard.
I think 440 seems a bit high, personally.
Well, at least it's from a known workshop.
Yep. It needs a bit of money to get it up and running. Needs a new bridge, so it's going to cost you a little bit. But yeah. Another French Lebert violin, labeled H. Clotel. Slight knock at the button. Went for 400. We've seen so many of these recently, really. It's another kind of French thing. Another 20th century Miracle violin. I've seen enough of these for a lifetime, £380. Here went for 20th century German violin, unlabeled, went for 180. Looks okay. Looks like the neck's on it a bit of a funny angle, or maybe it's just the pictures at a funny angle. But does it? Don't know. Does that look to you that the neck's at a bit of a funny angle? Maybe not.
Yeah, well, maybe the whole picture is at a funny angle, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it could be anything at this point.
Yeah,
but you can't. Sometimes you can't even afford buying an cheap old violin on auction anymore.
Yeah.
The neck is screwed. Like, you want to fix it up, that's like at least $1,000.
Yeah, exactly. I think you have to be careful with stuff like that. Late 19th century Saxon violin, repaired. Went for £95. Yeah, fair enough. Nothing too exciting there. French violin labeled Thierry à Paris went for £180. Seems fairly, looks a bit like a Medifino kind of type thing. Post crack in the table, poorly replaced cheap neck. So there you go. That's going to be a bit of work for someone. 20th century German violin, bird's eye maple back. Went for 200. Yeah, looks pretty standard. 20th century German Strad violin went for 240. Slightly more interesting back. This auction is not too exciting, unfortunately, this time. German three-quarter violin. Also another one.
The one on the left looks curious.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. So it's £75. It's all right. Can't argue with that. French JHL violin went for 340. Medifino. Yeah, I guess that's all right. This kind of thing that you might see sold for like near £800, maybe a bit higher in a shop potentially.
But the next one is really good, but only sold for $400.
Okay, contemporary violin labeled J. Heidi. Aren't these made in China? These ones?
Yeah.
But it's nicely done though. It's quite nice.
Yeah, well, remember they probably bought these in white and they varnished it in the US.
Okay.
Yeah, these are because they do sell for quite a bit in their on like in their brand.
Yeah.
And you know it's funny that mass-produced Chinese violins don't do this kind of varnish as of yet. So I mean these are pretty good instruments.
Yeah, I think that's kind of not too bad, to be honest. It looks nice enough, so I'm sure it's
They
probably
will
cheaper than,
they'll sell these for 3,000, like
that's what I was,
five
yeah,
thousand.
that's what I was going to say. That is probably cheaper than what it would cost to buy a new one. German three-quarter size violin did not sell. Czechoslovakian violin labeled Casper Snad went for 150. Minor cosmetic issues, no serious things. Pretty standard. Looks okay. Good late 19th century German violin, unlabeled, went for 170. Yeah, not much to say there.
I'm just skipping a lot of lots ahead.
Yeah, French 7/8 stud violin went for 180. It's getting pretty standard there. Contemporary Gewa Allegro student violin, yeah, 95 standard. Let's go on. Oh, two large planes and some purfling tools. Oh, didn't sell. Interesting. Well, yeah, I guess you can get those kind of ones pretty easily. So a whole load of boxwood and other parts for like tail pieces and stuff there. £70 it went for.
Yeah, these can be worth a lot, especially for a fitting maker. Because what I heard is that the woods are getting harder to find now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some good. Actually, £70. That's not bad. You can make some nice tail pieces for like Baroque cello and stuff like that out of those.
Even for modern cellos.
Yeah. Here's a whole load of adjustable clamps. Didn't sell. I don't think people really want to use these type of clamps anymore, to be honest. So not surprised. G clamps, old wooden ones, didn't sell. Yeah, people aren't a fan. Here we go, some chisels, baseball clamps and stuff. That's what people want, is the tools.
Yeah,
So
this one looks nice. I wonder what kind of chisel it is, because you kind of
yeah.
grind them a little bit, but yeah, they look nice.
Yeah, that looks all right. And there's knife branded Hills and Sons. I think that's okay. Not too bad.
Woods from the Hill shop, like I'd be making my. Oh, okay. These are not actual like violin wood blanks. These are for restoration. I thought like I can buy these and make my own hills.
Yeah, just some wood for restoration, but you know, useful for someone. More wood from Hills for restoration work. Oh, here's interesting. 20 violin viola neck graft locks from Hills, 220. Yeah, just looks some nice figure on that. So
I feel like
never.
my violin has the same neck as some Strat.
Okay, so this is the lot that you should have bought. Look, 45
Yeah.
part finished boxwood chin rest blanks. You should have bought this, shipped them to your friend, the maker, and got them shipped back.
Yeah.
So you missed out on that. That was what you should have been buying. Hindsight, some random stuff for repairs. I didn't notice any of this stuff, to be honest, the first time I looked at this catalog.
So we got so distracted by the few violins. See, that's the importance of like actually going through the entire catalog.
Yeah, actually, I've said this before in previous videos. It's really important to go back to a catalog and look at it again all the way through another time, if not 3 times, because I always see something the second or third time around. And if you flick through it really quickly, then you tend to kind of miss out. The problem was at this point, like 18th of June, there'd already been like 2 or 3 really big catalogs up online, like finishing the days before. So it was a bit too much really to take in. That was a problem. But yeah, I think it's really important to kind of look at this stuff a bit more detail. Instrument catalogs went for 20 quid. To be honest, that's a bloody good deal as long as you can pick them up locally.
Wait till you see the next lot.
Okay. Is that even crazier, is it?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's crazy. But do you know what? Like some of these catalogs are like so decent. Like just it's a bit like having printed Cosio archive stuff. It's really good for
Yeah,
looking at instruments. Like the Ingleton Heyday auction catalogs that cost like 20 quid or whatever a time. They're like amazing. Like they're so good. So I think this is a great price. If you can pick it up, obviously the shipping for this would be bloody horrible. But if you live near the auction house or can drive there, then pretty good. Good
yeah.
deal. Here's some interesting books on like the hill makers, bow makers and other bow stuff. 240. Sure, that's pretty good books. Whole load of other books. I didn't really look at this actually, to be honest. Hill collection, blah 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 blah. Violin making, Italian violin making. Yeah, nothing too crazy. The price is kind of okay.
I had a friend who actually asked me to buy the masterpiece of Italian violin making book. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that.
that's supposedly a good book.
You can get that really cheap on eBay sometimes or on Amazon.
Yeah. I
I
wonder
wouldn't,
what that white book is. That gray book, the one on the left. This one. Yeah, I wonder what that is.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure really. I'd have to read what it says in the, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I don't quite recognize it. But yeah, that other one, you can get that really easily. Sure I can find it online somewhere for you if you want to get it for your friend. Here's the Plowright Dictionary of Violin and Bow Makers, but in loads of different splits editions,
Yeah.
not just one book. This is like really irritating. I'd hate to have to keep looking through like multiple different books to find it.
Wait a minute. I mean, are these all the same book, or these are like different volumes?
Uh, I don't know actually. I assumed that it was like in 13 like different versions,
That makes no
like
sense.
like A to Z split across 13 books. But maybe it's actually 13 copies, but that's a bit
Yeah.
too thin.
I mean, it
That
has
can't
to be
be.
13 copies. I mean, how many British violin bow makers are there that you need like 13 books to put?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that they are very thin and the actual I mean I'm not sure to be honest.
Actually, see, oh, I see. Probably you're right. There, it is 13 volumes because
Yeah.
all the lots are pack of 13.
Yeah,
It has
because
to be,
yeah,
maybe,
because I mean I've
yes.
got this book in like the giant version. In fact, I think like it was in that previous lot. I think that was the is it not this one or is that the other one? Oh no, that's the Henley one. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure to be honest.
Yeah, there are probably pictures in it. I don't know. Never seen it.
Yeah, maybe they are just different versions. I just don't have that particular book, I don't think. Here's again 13 paperbacks. Maybe it is. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's 13 copies of that. And again, bloody hell, they got enough of them. 13 again. Not sure. Whole load of books again.
I think the Hama book may be interesting.
Yeah.
Wonder what that blue book is.
What was that? Blue one.
Yeah.
Yeah, not sure. What's the Albert Fuchs? Yeah, interesting. Okay. And Mr. Black's violins. Golden Age of Violin Making in Spain. I'd actually really like to get my hands on that book, but I don't really want to pay £200 for it. The Benjamin Banks book is good. I've got that. I don't know the other two, but I've seen them on for sale quite a few times. This would be interesting, actually. Polish kind of instrument making. £60. Actually, I might have to look and see if I can find that book because there's these really, you can see it here on the front. That's one of, I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of those Groblitz early 17th century Polish violins that we've talked about before with the kind of crazy lion head. So it looks like this is a book on kind of like violin making and like lute making. It's about Polish luthiers basically. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Polish luthier school. So that's actually, yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to check that out and see if I can find that book. It looks quite curious. Here's some books about Stradivario, Carlo Chiesa and Dwayne Rosengard. Carlo Chiesa is a instrument maker and researcher. Hill book about the Hill makers, forward by Charles Beer. The Messiah violin by Nicholas Sackman, £60. Is this not the book where it gets into like kind of these conspiracy theories about the Messiah?
I don't know if it's this guy. It could be. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
One guy thought it's a real.
Yeah. Here's a couple more books on Stradivari. More books on Stradivari. Actually, some of these books are quite interesting. Here is Samuel Zhang, Picture Dictionary of Fine Antique Instruments, published by Shanghai's People's Fine Art Publishing House, volumes 1 and 2, went for £130.
I would think I've seen all the Chinese violin books. And
yeah.
Speaking of Chinese violin books, if you're interested in getting the Peter Billa Dajezu book, the best way is to actually get the Chinese version because it's actually cheaper than the European version.
Oh, okay.
They released it in China for cheaper for some reason.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Very curious. What the hell? A 20 division bow case with a faux crocodile skin went for £160. Oh, it was formerly property of W.E. Hill and Sons. I was going to say that seems very expensive, but okay, I understand now. Whole load of bows went for £18. They all look pretty terrible, but still, you never know. A whole load of other bows, terrible but not quite as terrible, £25. Likewise, getting less terrible for £55. Back to more terrible again for £25, and more £20. These just really do not look very good.
Yeah.
Rubbish bows again for £15. Well, oh, someone saw something in this one then, because it went for £180. Maybe it was this very edge of a potential silver button or something there, or some kind of corrosion, but someone saw something here or a stick or something because they paid 180 quid for it.
Well, there's one that actually went to 400.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, or maybe people looked at these lots in person anyway, but so a couple of people were interested in that. Another £20 bow lot. £70 bow lot. There you go. £200 bow lot. Okay, they're getting a bit more fancy. See some silver work in there. Not that that necessarily means everything. £60 bow lot. But I definitely did not check this catalog properly. £30. Yeah, I really just skipped through this. £400. Okay, they must be looking at this bow.
Actually, that's my bow expert. Tell me what that is.
Yeah, that's okay. That's silver as well. So I'd have to look at more pictures, but okay, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like some sort of French antique bow or anything.
No,
it does have that rail you're talking about. So I mean, is it like a hill or?
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is an interesting lot, 2216, £520. These two bows here, these look quite curious actually. Why are they not showing their, if it's like two bows on its own, that obviously could be interesting. Why not show the heads? Honestly, like, I think just some of these auction houses, like you need to up your game on pictures. It's just poor. It's laziness. It's actually just sheer laziness. Don't get me wrong, a whole bundle of crap bows, yeah, that's fair enough, but you can see that there's something potentially interesting here on these two bows. Why not just show the heads? Like, is it that difficult? So this is a good ranty episode today. A couple more bows, 50 3/4. A couple more bows went for 320. Don't know about that, but okay. Just didn't even realize there were so many bows. 150. Some more bows there. More bows there. Went for 200. Here's a Dragonetti double bass bow. Went for 70. Couple more bows. Went for 550. Yeah.
I think people really overbid on some of these bows.
Yeah.
if we go like to some of the later lots, this one wasn't sold.
Yeah, it's unsold one here. Is that because it's got a broken head? Is it missing? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
And it don't even have heads.
that's
So
the Luke Post situation I'm talking about, right?
yeah, no, that's not good. Here's George Apparoot, nickel mounted, went for 240.
I didn't know that his shop also made bows.
It's a silver mounted bow, 1920, went for 130. I mean, that's not bad. You could, could be a good bow. German violin bow stamped R. Weichhold Dresden, went for 650. Okay.
Seriously, like $650.
That's quite a lot. English
Yeah.
silver mounted cello bow stamped Charles Lane, went for 280. That could potentially be okay, actually.
That's okay, yeah.
It's not a bad price for a cello bow.
My amazingly made modern bow costs less than these.
Yeah. Interesting old nickel mounted cello bow stamped was it Louis Bazin, went for 95. Yeah, it doesn't look all that, unfortunately. 20th century German ivory nickel mounted violin bow, went for 170. That's actually potentially not bad. That's like an okay, that's quite a nice looking bow, actually. Also, the weight is pretty good. So but it does have ivory, which I recommend people don't purchase. So anyway, nickel mounted cello bow went for 180. It looks okay. Like some of the bow prices aren't too bad, actually, I don't think. Nickel mounted violin bow, 53. Whoa, 4,200. Wow. Okay. I would love to have seen what the estimate was on that. Wow, okay.
What do they think this is? A Picard?
No, they just didn't say.
No, but what do you think the people that bid $4,000 on this thing?
I honestly don't know. I'm not knowledgeable enough to really know.
Yeah,
But someone must have seen something from the shape of the head or from the button, or a couple of people must have known what that is. So
crazy, dude.
yeah. So there you go. People spot things even if they're not kind of labeled. So if two people spot it, then the money goes up. So I don't know what the estimate was on this because they remove the estimates when they give you the hammer price, but I suspect it was not anywhere near that. So that was interesting.
Remember that $30,000 Tesla that they spotted on a small auction?
Yeah, it can get pretty crazy. So here's an old violin with a bow with damaged frog that just went for 140. Yeah, it's quite a difference. Nickel mounted violin bow stamped Caresse en Francais, 480. It looks quite interesting. Old cello stick went for 110. Silver mounted violin bow unstamped went for 550. Contemporary Baroque violin bow went for 120. Actually, probably I suspect that is a Chinese made bow, but it looks okay-ish.
Pretty standard your kind of Chinese
Yeah,
bow.
you can usually sometimes buy those brand new for about 60-70 pounds.
Yeah, which is why I thought it could be a pretty good opportunity if you run a shop, if you throw on these auctions.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I have a friend who made like my Chinese bow maker friend. Their Baroque bows are way better than this.
Yeah.
But price wise, I don't think they would do very well on auctions necessarily.
No, that's true enough. French violin bow attributed to Charles Nicolas Bazin. Are they actually potentially attributing things? 460 that went for. German silver mounted violin bow of the not school.
Real Bazin school for you? 2000?
I think it just depends on the grade, really. It can be, yeah. It can go pretty high.
How much does like a hill go for?
It depends on the grade, like anything from like 1,500, 2,000 to like 5,000, 6,000.
Yeah.
Maybe even a bit more if it's really fine one, like a fleur de lis kind of one or something like that. Silver Miracle silver mounted bow stamped CH NL Paris went for 680.
Look at this one.
Silver mounted violin bow stamped E Satori went for 1850. So speculative there.
Someone must really think it's a real Saturn.
Well, a couple of people might have taken the chance on it, but if there were dealers thinking that this genuinely was a Satori bow and there was two of them, then this price would be a lot higher than that. I can tell you that for certain.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about bows, but what's the thing called? That little if you go to the first picture.
Which bit? Oh yeah, the like the lapping.
Yeah, that almost looks like a hill bow or something.
Yeah, it looks like that kind of like the whalebone kind of lapping that they sometimes used to have. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, it's got a pinned, yeah, it's kind of pinned silver button. People can kind of recognize stuff sometimes. So, but this one's quite interesting. Old ivory mounted violin, cello bow stamped Dodd went for 440. Quite an interesting looking bow. Quite like it.
I saw there's a ivory mounted Guillaume stamped bow on eBay. I don't know if that's real ivory because if I do buy that, I'm gonna get into a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah, it could be bone. You have to look for certain patterns and stuff like that. So yeah.
Wonder if that's something specialist that like the custom just to inspect all the.
Oh yeah. Then interesting old nickel and ivory mounted cello bow, stamped El Panormo that didn't sell. It's a bit ropey condition. Silver mounted cello bow stamped Dodd. Went for 300. Silver mounted cello bow stamped Panormo again went for 800. A bit better condition.
Again, these English makers stamp on them. Like, are these fake stamps or bows from their shops?
Well, it's most of the time they're probably fake stamps, but yeah, sometimes they could be stamps from the shops, potentially.
Why would they fake an English stamp on it?
Well, I mean, why not? I mean, I guess it still holds some value and it might be a little bit more believable than some of the other ones. So
this Bazan bow, it didn't even sell. It looks like a pretty good deal. 700, 1,000. I don't see any condition issue.
yeah, it looks okay, but maybe it's today the button looks a little bit funny. It just looks a bit new. Doesn't look like a super high quality one, but yeah.
Like, what makes an auction house like Gardiner think that it's from the workshop Charles Bazan? Like, do they have the expert to?
Yeah, they must know. I would have thought they must have some kind of people like that they refer to.
Yeah, because if it's like the consignor told them, that wouldn't, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm sure these places. I mean, Gardiner Houlgate. It's not like the top auction, but they definitely they know their stuff. To be honest, so I'm not too doubtful of that. I just think
with some doubt. I mean, some of the stuff they're definitely like bullshitting.
Yeah, I just think that it's just not an interesting looking bow. It just doesn't look very high quality. I mean, it may well be from the workshop of Bazar, but it's not of a high level one. Looking at the parts of it, looking at the woods, it's not that appealing for the estimate. I just don't think it was worth it really.
The next one either.
Yeah, silver mounted cello bow by Morozov. So this looks a lot better. This looks like a lot nicer, but even then, I think this the estimate is fairly high.
This one looks awful lot like my modern bow.
Yeah. Yes, it says here probably a modern Chinese stick. So, why does it even have that estimate if that's what they think it is?
Yeah, and like, why would they think it's probably by Morizon and Stem Satori? Then they say it's modern Chinese stick. Like, which part is modern? Like, so it's just a frog that's from Morizon shop?
Yeah, we're getting into dubious territory here for sure.
The stick looks exactly like my Chinese bow, but mine is actually even better made than this one, I would say.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. French nickel mounted violin bow by and stamp Victor Fatigue went for £1,000. Okay.
It's funny to see how like you can really tell if a bow is old or new.
Well, yeah, I mean, it picks up a lot of use marks very quickly. No lot on this one. That's the most exciting lot.
Like, are you supposed to also for the silver parts? Are you supposed to polish them? Because even for my modern bow, all the silver parts are turning black.
Well, I guess as part of the general maintenance, when you have it rehaired, you would expect it to have a clean and a polish when it was rehaired, or I would anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of which, my bow hasn't been rehired for 5 years.
Well, that's why your silver is dirty then, because
Yeah.
you haven't had it cleaned. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend cleaning it yourself, but I would expect that the rehairer would clean the bow, including the stick and the silver. I
My
would
my
think.
bow bow maker does offer rehairing for free, but I had to ship it back, which is a little complicated.
Yeah, just take it to someone local that you
I'm charging like
just-
$100 for it.
yeah. Silver mounted cello bow by and stamped K Gliznisk didn't sell. Fine and interesting English silver mounted violin bow of the Tubb School didn't sell.
I thought this one's okay.
Yeah, it's been well used. You can see the dip there.
I don't see any like, serious condition there besides some like rusting.
No, that's true. Another good English silver mounted violin bow, probably by James Tubbs. That one went for £2,000 though.
Yeah, I can see why. See, I'm just looking at all these auctions with you. I start to get a sense of what a good bow looks like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what they look like is one thing. What they play like is different. It's
Yeah.
all about weight against balance and flexibility, and lots of different things to take into consideration.
Yeah, well, we're
Um,
dealers, so none of our business.
yeah. Good German decorative nickel mounted Knopf bow went for 1,400. That's one of the nicer looking ones, but
I just find these kind of decorations really cheesy. Like
yeah,
they're literal flowers. But that head looks very funny.
yeah. It's quite angular, but I think that is quite consistent with that family of making there. Good English violin bow by and stamped Dodd went for 3,000. Yeah, not too surprised there.
Yeah. His head also looks kind of weird. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like over the years, even the English, like British bow making has become better. Like when you get to Hill, like all of their bows look like French bows, but
Yeah.
once you still get these like kind of funny examples.
Well, I mean, don't kind of forget that Dodd was like working at the same time as kind of taught and stuff like that as well. So, it makes sense that they were kind of in the same zone, but slightly different kind of things. As now people obviously know a bit more about they have their preference for the fine makers and stuff all starts to look fairly similar-ish.
Another unfortunate thing with bows that like because they don't have a label in them, you can like list them chronologically to monitor how like someone's style has changed over time.
Yeah. Here's an old German and nickel mounted violin bow, unstamped. Interesting kind of decoration there. Modern 18th century gamba bow went for £90. Yeah. Interesting rare American or English painted metal violin bow, 3 to 400. That didn't sell. These are interesting things. I'm told that these are actually like quite good, but the problem being that if you drop them, they would get dented so quickly and they basically become useless. So that's why they didn't take off. But I hear that weight-wise and playability and stuff, they were actually fine.
Yeah, I heard Rion had a few of them metal bows.
Hmm.
Yeah, and just imagine how consistent you can get with metal bows. Like you can literally just mold them, and they'll come out exactly the same every time.
Oh yeah. Here's an interesting early English cello bow, circa 1810, went for 700 pounds. Definitely curious there. Very fine early and rare ivory mounted gamba or cello bow there. Didn't sell, 8 to 10,000 was the estimate. Interesting head, definitely an early bow, but quite a
It's
lot of
so
money.
interesting to see that they have these very, let's say, professional opinion on some of the bows. It's as if they have some sort of bow expert in house, but they don't have a violin expert.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's possible, yeah, definitely possible. A copy of a 17th century pochette bow by Andrew Dipper went for 500. That's quite interesting, actually. Look at
The
that.
original is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
Yeah, interesting couple of bows there. Very curious.
Looks pretty cool. I mean,
Here we are onto Hardanger fiddle. Went for £850. Looks like quite a fancy one.
yeah, I like how that little animal has like that chef hat on it.
Mm.
It's like a 5 string. Okay, it's a four. Wait, no, it's an 8 string.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Unusual viola d'amore went for 320. A bit of funny things. I've seen a few ones like that. Yeah, by Shepherd, Maker Shepherd. English violin by Dennis G. Plowright went for 260. It's pretty plain, but 260 is not too bad.
We got a whole salvo of flower.
What? Sorry.
We're getting a whole salvo of flower. If you just keep going.
Oh, okay, yeah. So another one by Plowright went for 360, a bit more. That's got a quite nice back on it though. So
These are worth more than 360. Like
yeah,
you can easily sell them for more.
yeah, it's not bad. Oh yeah, another one, a viola this time for 550. Yeah, I think it looks nice enough kind of work. I think that's kind of okay. I don't have any comments on that. Early 20th century violin labeled W.E. Hill and Sons went for 280.
I wonder if it's a real hill.
Mm,
It's
yeah,
nice either way. Like
yeah,
200.
exactly.
Oh, it's tiny. 337.
Oh, right, yeah,
It's a fractional instrument.
yeah.
It's just
It looks nice enough though. Looks
yeah.
interesting. It's a curious little thing. 20th century German viola with bow looks pretty standard there. Went for quite a lot of money there, 1850. Interesting. Well, I mean, it looks okay, but that seems a bit high, but okay. Fair enough. Interesting French violin, circa 1800, Sanjay Pirouel, 400. Looks pretty, yeah, looks interesting.
Oh, that's the original Baroque neck.
Yeah, that's interesting. 400 seems fair. There's a no lot there. Good French violin labeled Luthier d'Art, Lucien André Rago. That went for £1,100. Okay. Well, I mean, it looks in pretty good condition. Very shiny. Not 100% sure about that one. Good French 7/8 violin, another labeled Luthier Artistique. Went for 620. It's in good condition. Early 20th century French violin, 260. It's pretty standard. Good French violin, stamped Breton, went for 600. Interesting back. It's once again pretty standard. Good violin, second 1900, unlabeled. Interesting varnish on this one, 620. I quite like this one. Quite a big eye in the
Yeah.
scroll.
Damn. Yeah, this one's nice. It's one of those violin where on every auction you have these nice modern violins.
I like here down the bottom, violin circa 1900. Correction, we now believe this violin is probably not very old.
Yeah, wouldn't say 1900, but 20th century, 2000. It could be anything because
Yeah.
it could be some modern antique. It's hard to tell when it's this close.
This could be one of the kind of like, this could be like a Chinese instrument potentially,
Yeah, yeah. Which
or Eastern European. I mean, it's, yeah. I mean, it looks okay, to be honest.
it
Yeah,
looks like a very standard modern instrument. So everything was like made
yeah.
to standard.
Oh, exactly. At least it has the right dimensions. So, late 19th century German violin, pretty standard, 320. Violin circa 1930. The Metro violin went 260. It's pretty standard as well. Old violin in need of restoration.
Something funny about the previous one.
Oh yeah.
If you go to the scroll, look at how thin that neck is.
Oh yeah, that is quite thin.
This one's gonna have issues.
That's for speed players.
Yeah.
Let's have a look here. So interesting old violin in need of restoration plus case went for 460. Needs a lot of work there, but obviously someone saw something in it. Interesting scroll, I suppose. Is it interesting kind of graft and stuff like that? So yeah, the curious scroll, but a lot of work in that for sure. Early 20th century violin needed restoration, didn't sell. It's pretty standard. German violin went for £520. I guess conditions okay on that. Interesting early European pochette or dancing masters violin. Went for 880. Slightly curious. Good French violin, signed Anton Hoffman. Went for 1800. Interesting. Seems maybe a little high. 19th century German Stradivari copy went for 320. It's pretty normal. 20th century Maggini copy viola went for 320. I think this looks okay, actually, this one.
Well, sound pose and bass bar cracks. This is actually like, remember that so-called violin we saw a while ago?
Yeah.
That looks something like this. Well, actually, that one looks more like a Maggini than this one.
Yeah.
I'm curious what that one is.
I think not too bad, but a bit of work. English viola by and labeled a Warwick pupil of Chanot. Well, went for 2,800. Nice back on it. So
how much does Chanot even cost? Like, why would this one go for 2,800?
Yeah, I don't know, but it did. I guess the Chanot ones are way more. So someone that's a pupil of, it's probably worth it. Not that many violas around. Early 20th century French viola, unlabeled, went for 460. Interesting late 18th, early 19th century violin, possibly English. Wasn't this one that you were interested? Oh wow, this went for £10,000.
Yeah, so that's why I said.
Yeah.
I know it said possibly English, but like, dude, what's so English about this one?
Yeah, the back. Yeah, I remember this one because the back was like outrageous.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, a lot of these are just Italian. Guys, remember how I said that this could be a Gagliano? Because
Okay, yeah,
the corner works the way that a Gagliano always does it. They will just dig it in flat, and
yeah,
the Naples pecos, where the top two are closer, the bottom two
yeah.
are closer. I'm like, I know they think it's English, but whoever bid it to 10,000 must also think it's a Gagliano.
Yeah, because the estimate for this was something around 1,000, wasn't it, or 1,500 or something like that?
Yeah, I remember.
Something like that.
Yeah, something that's like 3,000. Yeah.
but anyway, we'll see this, I'm sure, at auction again with a certificate for something for like 50 grand or something. So
Or more similarly to what we've seen for the past two big auctions, they just put the same thing on it because it turns out to be nothing.
yeah. Oh
least-
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or at least maybe it turns out to be Italian. But yeah, it's funny. We so far we have not seen an instrument where someone actually had it certified and relisted on auction.
Yeah.
Maybe when they do, they just leave it for private sales.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. And next one, interesting 19th century violin, indistinctly signed, went for £420. Attributed to Joseph Buchanan of Edinburgh. Quite like the back on that, actually. It's quite nice. Interesting scroll. Weird look at that kind of the way that the neck like scoops kind of in. It's a bit strange.
Sorry, which one's this?
Lot 2427.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
I'm like, this is like my philosophy. You can be creative on any other part of the instrument, but crucial parts to playing, generally you want something standard. I just wonder, yeah, because all these instruments with all these funky necks, and that scroll definitely looks interesting.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Yeah, it makes you think about some of the test orders.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep, that's curious. 19th century German violin, simulated table cracks, 360. That's like the top whack. I've had one exactly like this with the Klotz label. These are not nice looking in real life. They don't look good. I'd advise people.
Neck craft too.
Yeah, just don't buy those things. They just don't look nice.
Remember that some of these even have that. Some of these doesn't even have a top block. The neck is like glued straight to the back or something. I remember.
Yeah. French violin circa 1920. It's pretty standard. Go past that. 20th century Strad copy violin, 680. That seems a bit high, but okay. Violin of the Neumann Hornsteiner school went for 280. Looks a bit interesting. Another Neumann Hornsteiner went for 240.
These are huge. 362. Holy shit.
Yeah. French half size violin here looks in quite good condition. Went for 240. Looks actually quite nice for a half size. French 7/8 violin by M. Quattro went for 550. Our standard kind of French stuff there. English violin by and branded Turner, London, below the button, went for 180.
The previous lot, it says it's a 7/8, but the back is literally 351. That's a full size, and that's actually a pretty good full size.
Yeah. Well, curious.
Yeah. Their Jesus, they're like 350.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, that's interesting. This English violin is curious varnish on the back. It's like a bit of art there. That's quite curious. French violin of the Grandjean school, 650. That's quite a nice looking instrument, actually.
I like how the previous violin was branded Turner, one of the famous English painter.
Yeah, exactly.
And it has that like artistic back.
Yeah, it's quite curious. Early Mittenwald violin there went for 520. Interesting kind of scroll, but
what the hell? Like,
not super exciting.
The early Mittenwald, like, yeah, they really think this one's from 1791.
Yeah, I'm not.
Just look at it, like, come on.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
There is no way. This is early Mittenwald. Like, do I know what Mittenwald looks like?
Yeah, I'm a bit skeptical of that one. Scottish violin by and labeled Malcolm F. Richmond, Camelon Falkirk, 1927, went for 820. Varnish looks kind of nice enough.
Yeah.
Fine contemporary English violin by and labeled Glenn A. Collins, went for 10,000. I mean, looks actually a very nice instrument, good varnish, good wood. So
This is the kind that should have ended up on Ingles.
yeah. Yep, that looks, yeah, nice scroll work actually. So that's good. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean this is 10,000, which I guess is worth it.
German violin by Norna Hornsteiner again, went for 600. Looks pretty okay, kind of plain.
Also, I'm just saying, whenever there's like a modern violin, that's like a good personal modern violin for sale on auction, I would definitely try out the sound. Because I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
most of them must sound amazing, like compared to the old stuff.
Definitely. Late 19th century violin by Louis Lowendahl, 700, pretty standard.
It's funny because I would always just like skip all the Lowendals because I know there's so many of them, but this one looks pretty good.
Yeah, no,
Gardner's very interesting.
it's not too bad. Interesting late 18th, early 19th century German violin, possibly of the Klingenthal school, 850 it went for, has a lot of repairs. Very interesting scroll there.
They must have read some of the Maelstrom F1 post to identify as a Klingenthal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I've read those posts enough. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
So it definitely just looks German to me.
Definitely curious. 20th century 3/4 violin, Percy Lee Cricklewood, didn't sell. Too exciting. JTL 7/8 violin, pretty standard, went for 500. That's fair enough. Good English violin by and labeled W.S. Davy, Liverpool, went for 1,350. Yeah, it looks in pretty good condition. Yeah, looks kind of okay. 20th century French violin there went for 1,100. Yeah, that actually looks quite nice.
That's huge. 362.
Yeah, that is quite big. Maybe people didn't read that, but looks nice. Nice looking instrument. Nice Guarneri style F holes.
Yeah, because there's so many better instruments on the same auction that just went for a few $100.
Yeah, but some people just want stuff which is like ready to go and not hasn't got any problems.
Yeah.
So I can understand that. Another early 20th century violin branded Ernst Kohler, 680. Interesting back, pretty standard though. Interesting 18th century German violin by Pancratius Reber and labeled Pancrati Reber Facit Mogonti, 1786. Interesting. Went for 2,200. Yeah, looks interesting enough. Cool scroll. I'm not sure I would pay quite that much for it, but looks like it's had a lot of repairs. But curious nevertheless.
Yeah.
Good modern Italian violin by, how does this work? How can it be by and attributed to Stelio Rossi?
Had a certificate or something.
Because, well, that's a contradiction. You either say by or attributed to.
These auctions are not specialized in. We already had a Bazan workshop with a Chinese stick. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Not funny. You either say by or attributed to. So this is stupid anyway.
but it does have a certificate and
yeah. This is a bit bizarre. The scroll's a bit funky, isn't it? Yeah. Well, someone bought it for 2,700. I would personally have spent my money somewhere else, but okay.
Yeah, only for an violin. If you own a shop, just like scam, just rip off other students for $20,000 on this. It totally works.
Yeah. Okay. Good French violin labeled Paul Bailey went for 3,200. Looks nice actually. That's a nice looking instrument.
Well, first impression I will say it's not a Paul Bailey, but it could still be one if I dig a little deeper. Just I run out and but this wait a minute. If you look at the back. Along the bottom side, the lower bell with the perforating, just like a whole bunch of nails on it. I have no idea what's going on.
On the back?
Yeah, let's just look at this.
Oh yeah.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah, that's pretty random.
Yeah.
That's pretty strange. Well, it went for 3,200, so We'll see. Looks nice enough, but yeah, you're right. There's some weird stuff going on there.
I mean, first impression I would say is not a Paul Bailey, but I could be wrong.
Mm.
Even just there, just this month there's so many funny stories about Paul Bailey's, the Skinner one and the yeah, and the other Paul Bailey on Brompton. There's like just always something wrong with them. It's like what have they done to all these instruments?
Yeah, exactly. It's true. Okay. Interesting 19th, 20th century eccentric violin went for 340. Looks pretty bizarre. I would almost think that this could have come from China, but maybe it does have some age to it, I suppose. Hard to say. Next one. Hawks and Son Professor violin didn't sell. Yeah. Actually, these usually have quite a good reputation. I'm surprised they didn't sell for like 300 quid. But anyway, double purfled violin labeled JK Monk. Interesting. Went for 360. Looks pretty kind of standard there. 20th century 7/8. Labeled El Tesoro. Went for 340. Looks pretty standard. Just try and blitz through a bit now. Alfred Moritz Excelsior violin didn't sell. Yeah, looks pretty standard again. Good French violin of the Calson School went for 920. Not sure. Don't know. That seems a bit high to me. Good modern viola labeled and possibly by Lorenzo Frasino Guardo, Cremona 1990, went for 1,500. I mean, it does look quite nice. It's quite nice proportions. French JTL violin, pretty standard, went for 850. Looks in good condition though, quite nice figure for JTL. This is interesting. Interesting 19th century restored violin, possibly English, but horrible back going on there. Horrible crack on the back, and the varnish is really funky.
If you look at this one does have some similarity to the other possibly English, but this one made much more recent.
Yeah, this is a bit odd. It looks like it's had an old scroll grafted onto it, but that the scroll doesn't match the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because look at the, I mean, that's just me looking at it. The varnish color just looks a bit kind of funny.
Yeah, someone's been like sanding it down or something. You can already see bare wood. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm like, well, even this is an English violin, they would say things like that. I mean, this could be anything.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, that one. French violin stamped Nicholas N went for 440. Looks pretty kind of standard. Same again. Hawks and Son Professor violin. This one went for 240. Like I said, that's actually not too bad a price. It's pretty standard. This is another interesting 19th century restored violin, clearly from the same seller. 720. That one's a bit more believable in overall kind of varnish and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's that 19th century. The form is pretty weird.
Yeah,
spaceship almost.
Yeah, that's definitely curious. German violin labeled Matthias Neuner went for 320. That's pretty standard again. 19th century French violin labeled Breton. These are pretty standard. Didn't sell. Was not popular. Then interesting violin labeled Ansaldo Poggi went for 2,100. Okay, that's I mean, it looks fairly nice, but seems a bit high.
Oh, wait a minute. I mean, this one has come with a hill case and sell that for $500.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It looks like a nice instrument. I mean, nobody would think it's a real Poggi, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder what this is. Probably French.
Yeah, I would have thought so. But anyway, someone paid for it. Interesting English violin by and labeled John Betts. So this is went for 2,300. It's in a bit of a funny thing. This was actually, the estimate was like £500 to £800, which I thought was stupid anyway, because if they are saying that it's like a Betts violin, it's, you know, definitely go for more than that. So
Do you think this is a real bet?
yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, I mean, they are stating that it is. So if you bought it and then went to check with someone and they said that it wasn't, then you'd have a case there. So I think it's possible. Yeah, looks like the back's nice. It just needs a bit of kind of attention. I don't think that's an unreasonable price, to be fair. 19th century German violin, unlabeled, went for 200. It's a bit of a curious one. That one definitely looks like it's been messed about with on purpose. So not too exciting.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, this is the one. Interesting 18th century violin labeled Carlo Antonio Testore. This is the one I think that you pointed out first, and then when I saw it and I saw the body, and I thought, wow, yeah, this could be something. I think that the scroll is potentially not original, but it's hard to say because we haven't seen the other pictures. But for the people kind of watching, the estimate on this was like 1,500 to 2,500 or something like that was the estimate, and it's gone for 8,200. But I think this is an interesting thing.
Yeah, but it did go for less than the English one.
That's true. That is true. But yeah, this I'd like to see it appear at some stage and see what people think it is. But the body looks very interesting for sure. So yeah,
I'm just
that was
cross-checking with the Montagnana. I'm like, wait a minute. The F host. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Venice or something.
yeah.
Or it could be nothing. I mean, you never
Yeah,
know.
it's hard to say, isn't it?
Tell you.
But it's definitely interesting in any case. And then a French violin by Nicholas Ayen went for 4,000. But doesn't look that kind of interesting to me, but there we go. It's popular. And then 20 soft cello covers. Nice. Went for 20 quid. That's a pretty good deal, actually. It's not bad. 4 cello hard cases went for 85. Mid 20th century German 3/4 cellos went for 150. Contemporary cello went for 3,200. That's interesting. Labeled Savola, Cremonese, Fratelli, Molini, Carlo, and Giorgio. It's interesting. Well, actually, scroll looks interesting, but I'm not 100% sure what that is. French Stradivari copy, 3/4 cello, didn't sell. JTL cello went for 520. That's had a bit of damage there to the front, isn't it? Or is that just dodgy pictures? Wow, that's looked like it's been eaten. Have you seen this?
Yeah, it's like one of those YouTube things.
Yeah, it's like someone's, yeah, extremely poor condition. You're not wrong. It's literally been eaten by someone. Late 19th century German cello went for 500. Good 19th century German cello, labeled Louis Nobe, Hamburg. I quite like this. This looks quite nice, actually. Quite like the look of this cello. Massive back sound post crack there, isn't it? Look at that. Pretty obvious as well. Shame. Rare Spanish viola tenore by and labeled A Paramon. Went for 2,200. Needs a peg. The 19th century cello, unlabeled, went for 1,500. Let's see. German Strad cello, 700 to 1,000, didn't sell. Interesting 19th century cello by Gustav Mavar, went for 2,100. Late 19th century cello, unlabeled. Contemporary Romanian quarter-size double bass there, sold for 60. 19th century Mittelwald double bass sold for 580, which just seems really cheap, to be honest. It looks like
Yeah, well, these are huge. Like people probably didn't want to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Then a 19th century Mittenwald double bass, once again 1250. It's quite crazy, really. The money, they just don't really go for much. 19th century German double bass there went for 1050. Yeah. 19th century double bass, probably English, went for 2800. Yeah, it's curious. Good 19th century French swell back double bass, went for 3600. Very interesting 18th century Italian or English double bass. So that's a bit like random. Went for 50,000 though. That's the highest lot in this auction. So
Someone probably thinks like an Italian bass.
well, yeah, I mean, I know nothing about double basses, so it's possible. It looks interesting though. It does look quite nice. It does definitely has age to it, doesn't it? So curious. I think that's definitely going to be the highest selling item. Fine 18th century Italian double bass by Pietro Pallotta, circa 1790. That's interesting. I just didn't really pay any attention to these before. So that's a curious shaped instrument, isn't it? Went for 28,000. Someone was happy about that. And then that's it, isn't it? Back to the beginning again. So yeah, that's it. We've looked at the entire auction. So yeah, well, that was it. An interesting auction. We got to see some of the prices, some interesting stuff, some very dubious wording and poor pictures in some places. I think they need to sort themselves out. Kind of saying that something's by a maker and then stating, oh no, it's actually partly Chinese, or saying it's by and then attributed to, bit random. And then just a whole load of other dodgy things. So I think Gardiner Houlgate, you need to sort yourself out a bit, really. And have better pictures. Yeah, I mean, I think from this kind of auction, I'm going to say that my favorite instrument probably was this kind of 18th century one, which went for 8,200. I'd be really curious to know what it is. So if anyone ever watches this video and you have a thought of what this might be, then let us know.
I'm actually comparing it with the few Montagnana, and there's some interesting similarities, but I wouldn't say it's a perfect match yet. The locator pins match with a few of the Montagnana, the F-holes does, but the form, I'm not certain, because some of these pictures are pretty misleading. I had to kind of see in person.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder what the internal construction looked like too.
Would you say that this is your kind of favorite instrument in this auction as well?
If I had the money, this would be the kind of instrument I'm going to. I mean, I don't know what it will come out to be. I wouldn't be surprised if end up being like Montagnana. I mean, whoever only paid $8,000 for it must be really happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, well, that has been the auction. Obviously, we didn't catch it before it was before it finished, but it's good to see these finished prices sometimes. So yeah, it's been an interesting auction, lots of different variation, some dubious pictures, some dubious kind of wording in the descriptions, but it's not too bad. And I guess we'll check out the next one. I think that's all I have to say for now. Max, do you have anything final words?
I guess that's all for me as well.
Okay, well, thanks everyone again for watching, and we will catch you next time for the next auction. So ciao for now. Bye. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.